Hey guys, here we are, Simone Fender 101, and here's my TNA Impact review. Again, like my Raw review, sorry for the delay. I have been very busy. Um, with college stuff and personal, family problems. Not between me and my parents, but between the parents themselves. But I've just been, on the side of it. I just didn't feel like making a video. Now I am, and here's my TNA Impact review. Sorry, this is about 3 days late, but hope you enjoy it, and here we go. We started off with a segment between Matt Hardy, Reby Sky, and Tyrus. More so Matt Hardy, because Matt Hardy did all the talking. He was basically talking up the heel. He did. Yeah, I don't really exactly remember particularly what he said, but because it was a few days ago. But he was talking it up very good. He is a really good heel. I'll say that. I haven't had like I said last week. I really haven't had this much fun with a Matt Hardy heel run since 2003 when he did the whole Mattitude thing with Shannon Moore. The Sensei of Mattitude, he was called. It was actually very fun back then. And now he's just a true dick. He thinks so highly of himself and everyone else is below him. Like most other heels, except he's more pompous about himself. And as his immediate family behind him. Immediate family being Reby Sky and his son Maxwell, who of course is a toddler and doesn't know half of what's going on. Out came EY and Bram, Eric Young and Bram. Actually, was it? Yeah, out came Eric Young and Bram. I thought somebody else came out first, but no, it was Eric Young and Bram, saying that they wanted a world title shot. They were the ones that, more specifically Eric Young, who pile drived Jeff Hardy through a table the last week, saying that he deserved the title shot that Jeff Hardy took away from him. Out comes the gold medalist Kurt Angle, who's in the middle of his, who technically had just left had just left TNA, but he still worked tapings for the next few weeks, probably going into March, and he worked here. Came out, confronted Matt Hardy again about destroying the legacy of the TNA title, a legacy that Kurt Angle started, which is true. Kurt Angle was the first TNA World Champion when he won the title, originally at Sacrifice, although they still used the NWA title belt. It was under a slightly different name. He didn't win the actual TNA title belt until Slammiversary the next month when there was a King of the Mountain Championship. But aside from that, he cut a decent promo. Out came, and a fight started. A fight went on. Started between them. Out came. It's a team that has been given a name. It's called the Decay, which is the team of Abyss and Crazy Steve. And we do now know the name of the third woman who's with them. Her name is Rosemary. She's just she's the psycho one. She's the other psychotic clown who I will get to a little later in the show because they do have a match. Before the Decay came out, Beer Money came out to help Angle with EY and Bram. Then the Decay came out to attack Beer Money. Then the Wolves came out to attack the Decay. And that started an 8-man tag team match between a little later in the night. It was a hardcore war match that happened later in the night. The first match of the night was actually, we didn't even go on to a match next. We went on to a backstage segment, a brief one, between Drew Galloway and Tyrus. Galloway saying Tyrus actually won a TNA World Title shot, but is now just basically Matt Hardy's and Reby Sky's bitch. And of course, you would think this teased the heel turn, but a face turn for Tyrus, but it didn't. After that, we had a match between Bobby Lashley and Aiden O'Shea, who is the former Jay Bradley a couple years ago. This was nothing all that good. Not because of Lashley, but because of how they're booking OShea's matches. They're booking OShea's matches much how they used to book Crazy Steve's matches. It was just him doing shit and nothing else. Aiden O'Shea, he hasn't done a single wrestling move. All he does, he's the Fighting Irishman gimmick, which I appreciate, and he definitely looks the part. Problem, he doesn't do anything good. And by that, I mean that he doesn't even do a suplex. All he does is punches. He's the Fighting Irishman, so let's have him go out there and basically box his opponent. Which is retarded. I think it's freaking retarded. And it's just annoying to me how they're not booking this guy as a wrestler. They're booking this guy as a brawler, which I have no problem with that if he was still doing wrestling. But I'm telling you right now, he's not Steve Austin back in '98, where he could wrestle and he could, brawl. Aiden O'Shea sucks as of now. As of me recording this, Aiden O'Shea sucks. Thankfully, Lashley won the match. Out came Raquel. Now, what happened is on the first, I believe it was last week's episode of Impact, Lashley came out, said that Kurt Angle, Kurt Angle beating him at last year for the TNA World Title was one of the biggest, victories for Kurt Angle, but was also somewhat of a haunting memory for Lashley. And Lashley proposed a challenge that Kurt Angle face him for in another match. Well, I'm telling you right now, I read the spoilers, that didn't happen. That rematch didn't happen. Afterwards, we have a and after what happened there, Raquel, who was a woman we didn't know last week, she went up to Lashley and said, could have been last week or 2 weeks ago. I honestly forget. I think it was actually 2 weeks ago. But Raquel came up in the backstage to Lashley and saying that she'll either give Lashley one of two choices: join her or thrive on his pain. We still have no idea what she means by that. It's obviously going to build up to something. But this week, she basically said the same thing, that things are coming. Lashley better join up with her or else some shit's going to happen. So there goes the end of that segment. I'm curious. I'm actually kind of interested what's going to happen next. Next, we have a Maria segment. Maria Kanellis, who had just joined TNA, along with Mike Bennett, two Ring of Honor employees, former Ring of Honor employees. Maria being a former WWE employee, so there's a little bit of exposure there. Maria came out, not about a Mike Bennett promo, but it was basically her talking up the Knockouts division, and she said that the Knockouts division needed a real kick in the butt, and Maria, while it isn't a miracle, what she is what the Knockouts division needs. Out comes Gail Kim, who's the reigning Knockouts champion. Maria talks Gail Kim like she hasn't really done anything. She's a wrestler and nothing else, but Maria, she's the real lady of professional wrestling, the real lady of women's wrestling. And she was going on saying that people like Gail Kim work and serve people like Maria. Eventually, it's got to a point where I loved it right here, where Gail Kim grabbed Maria by her forearm, and she's like, "Oh, you're the real woman. You keep talking down to me like that. Let's see what happens. Lace up your boots, get in the ring, and show me what you can actually do." Maria, of course, cowled like a bitch. Like, she was cowling and begging off because she was getting hurt. And then she ran off and did her pose where, of course, she's like, "Yeah, I'm the greatest," even though she literally ran away like a bitch. So, inconsistent booking there. But I would like this if they hadn't already neutered the knockouts division. But let's see where it goes. Hopefully, it goes in an interesting direction. Next, we have the Hardcore War match I mentioned earlier. We have it's basically like Lethal Lockdown, except it's a hardcore style match, and they bring weapons. Each one brings a weapon. First one to come out, I believe, was Eddie Edwards. And then the first two to come out were Eddie Edwards and Crazy Steve. Now, the point of this match is that every 2 minutes, another wrestler shows up and enters the ring. A pinfall cannot occur until all the men are in the ring. Next came Bram, and by the way, I'll see if I can remember the names of each weapon they bring out. Eddie Edwards brought out a steel chair. Crazy Steve brought like a baseball bat, and by the way, this is my Wii remote. That's what I'm holding. Like a baseball bat that's like wrapped in like barbed wire, like a barbed wire board that they use for Monsters Ball matches, like a small one. Out came Bram, who was the how can I say this? Bram came out with it was a ring post gear, a weapon he used to use when he was doing a shtick last year. He would always hurt people with it. Out came James Storm, who had, as a beer drinker, he had a giant barrel of beer. A giant like silver plastic barrel of beer. Yeah, that's a cowboy, all right. Then came Abyss and a couple other guys who, of course, Abyss came out with Janice. Bobby Roode came out with I don't care what they came out with. Anyways, about the match. The match itself was actually a very good match. It was a very entertaining match. With the exception of with the exception of Rosemary coming out, the heel team got a clean win over the baby faces. But this is like what happened last time. Roode and Storm, Beer Money, fought Stephen Abyss near the back, not Stephen Abyss, but fought Bram and Eric Young up on the ramp to the back, leaving Abyss, Steve, and the Wolves, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards. Out comes Rosemary. I think Eddie Edwards was taken out of commission. Davey Richards got sprayed by like a Tajiri spray. By Rosemary or by Crazy Steve. It was a match. It was a good match. I thought it was a good match. I thought it was done somewhat well. A little clunky here and there, but it was a decent match. I thought. And this is what I wanted to say about Rosemary earlier. She came out and, goddamn, this is maybe just me, but when they like pull her hair back, she's in the clown makeup. Keep in mind, when they pull her hair back, she is like psychotically hot. I mean, there's something about her when you pull a woman's hair back when you have sex, she has this look where it's like, oh god, that is so hot. And she had the same look here where it's like, damn, I wish I could bone that. Oh god, oh man, I know some of the people that might watch this, they might be laughing, and a couple other people I know have watched this that are probably church people, probably are hating me right now. But I'm just telling it like it is. I just think it was funny, and that woman is hot. Please, can I have your number, Rosemary? I don't care what you do to me. I don't care if you torture me. Actually, I do care if you torture me, because I don't want to be at a Chamber of Horrors match like in 1991. God damn, man, that was a horrible match. Next, we had a brief backstage segment between Angle and Galloway. They teased another match, which, spoilers, it actually did happen. I believe it's happening next week in the UK. They started their UK tapings. Drew Galloway said that if Angle wins the TNA title tonight, they're going to have a TNA World Heavyweight title match when Drew Galloway will cash in his Feats Are Fired briefcase. He holds the World Heavyweight Championship briefcase. Afterwards, we had a match between I think it was Drew Galloway and Tyrus. Yeah, Galloway defeated Tyrus by disqualification due to interference. It was a nothing match, but then again, it's Tyrus. It's a Tyrus match. I didn't expect much here. Not too much really to say, other than it was just a mediocre as hell match. If not, just a bad match. Next, we had a brief Angle Lashley backstage segment. Lashley basically saying the same thing Galloway said, except which of course ended off saying good luck with your match with Matt Hardy tonight. Angle, of course, thanked him. Next match was an X Division title match. Now, this has been built up since last week. Last week, Shane Helms, Gregory Helms, the Hurricane, whatever you want to call him, came out, said, and told Tigre Uno, are you willing to defend the X Division title for the last time next week? Uno agreed, and out comes Tigre Uno, who's ready to defend his X Division championship. Out comes Shane Helms, who's not in wrestling gear. Shane Helms is not in wrestling gear. The reason why is because Shane Helms, and I love this right here, Shane Helms never said that he was going to wrestle Tigre Uno. Out came Trevor Lee, who currently works in GFW, Global Force Wrestling, which is Jeff Jarrett's new promotion, was part of the GFW invasion that TNA, of course, did not mention. And they had, for what it was worth, I thought they had a good match. Problem? It only went 4 minutes. Okay. Step 1. Give X Division a face that people can get behind. Shane Helms has some real credibility as the Cruiserweight Champion in the past. In fact, is the longest ever Cruiserweight Champion in WWE. And possibly just overall Cruiserweight Championship history. Now, step number 2. Give the X Division guys more time to work matches. They need more than 4 minutes on TV. They need more time. The X Division built TNA. Let's give it more focus again. That's what I'm asking for. I know these guys, because for what it was worth, these guys so far were tearing down the house before the match ended. I thought, man, just when it was getting good, they had to, it crumbled apart and just ended. Tigre Uno lost clean to Trevor Lee. Trevor Lee is your new X Division champion. I've heard of Trevor Lee, and I've seen Trevor Lee on the indies. He's very good. He's a very good wrestler, and he deserves this. Then we had what's been building all night, which was an EC3 interview. It was really less of an interview and more of a pre-taped segment, but it was definitely the best thing of the night. EC3 cut a promo basically in the interview saying that yes, he has been a piece of shit. He thought the party would go on forever, the undefeated, unbeaten, unbreakable streak that he had, and he lost to Matt Hardy a couple weeks ago. And EC3 was very good here. I think EC3 can actually work as a babyface if given, good time, good booking. It was very good. If you haven't, you need to check out EC3's interview because it was a very good segment. And which is good because it came right before the main event. It almost hyped up the main event for me. Main event, Kurt Angle and Matt Hardy. It was definitely a good match. Best match of the night? Maybe. It was basically on par with Hardcore War. But the problem is, and I think this has to do more with Kurt Angle's age and his years of injuries, he's not as good as he used to be, which is obvious at his age. But it really showed because Kurt Angle was hitting a lot of German suplexes, which is good. But he also kept on hitting Angle slams, got the ankle lock of Matt Hardy. But there's just some things that I missed. I missed the amateur style, wrestling that he was doing. Where did that go? Especially from last year. Last year was his last really good year. Last good year. But so far, Angle has still had good matches. He did not go for the moonsault, which I think he stopped because of his age and his list of injuries that he's had over the years. Matt Hardy, of course, I think this match was actually worse than the Hardcore War match because of the amount of interference. Rebby Sky interfered, Tyrus interfered, constantly. But it was a good match. I just think it was a little overbooked. Matt Hardy defeated Kurt Angle by giving him a twist of fate from the top rope and defeated Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle didn't say anything, didn't do anything. He just walked to the back and took it like a man. I like Kurt Angle. I really, really love Kurt Angle. Matt Hardy had his post-match celebration, and that's how we ended off TNA Impact. Overall, like Monday Night Raw, a decent show, but it was marred by a couple things. Hardcore War matches. The Hardcore War match and the main event was a good match, but it was a little bit marred by interference. And the X Division title match could have been the match of the night, but was marred by time constraints. And I definitely wanted the X Division title match to go on a hell of a lot longer. But overall, it was a decent episode. Best thing of the night was by far that EC3 interview. Check it out if you haven't already. And I hope that the UK tapings and shows, which for some reason they always hit bullseyes on, TNA does, and I hope to enjoy myself much more next week for TNA Impact. Okay, guys? So, see you later, guys, and have a good day.